You're not going to like what I'm about to say, but you need to hear it. Because despite all the motivational videos you watched, despite all the affirmation notebooks you started and abandoned, despite all the nights you closed your eyes begging the universe for a change, nothing really changed, did it? And there's no point trying to hide it. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You try to do the technique, you try to repeat the phrases, you try to follow every ritual you find on the internet. But deep down, there's a silent feeling, a dark sense you never admitted out loud. I'm doing everything right, so why does my life remain the same? This question haunts you like a shadow. And I know you don't want to hear this, but there is an answer to that hidden failure. And it's not pretty. Joseph Murphy called this phenomenon the invisible saboteur, a psychological mechanism so discreet, so silent, so treacherous that it destroys your manifestation before it's even born. And here's the blow. That saboteur is you, not your logical self, not your conscious self, but your subconscious, the part you don't control, the part that truly governs your life, the part that records every word you say, every thought you feed, every emotion you repress. You can pretend you're in control, but your subconscious is the real operator of your existence. And Murphy said that while that part of you is programmed the wrong way, every attempt at change will be nothing but empty theater. And before you try to defend yourself, let me go deeper. You say you want prosperity, but you vibrate fear. You say you want love, but you vibrate lack. You say you want success, but you vibrate doubt. And do you really think the subconscious is dumb enough to believe your words when your emotions scream the opposite? Murphy made it clear. The subconscious does not respond to what you say. It responds to what you feel. That's why you repeat an affirmation 100 times and nothing happens. That's why you visualize and don't manifest. That's why you follow all the techniques but live trapped in the same cycle of near successes. But don't blame yourself yet, because there is a detail nobody told you, a detail that turns the whole process into a sham if you don't master it. And this detail is so controversial, so brutal, so uncomfortable that most people will never accept it. Ready to hear it? Here it is. When you try to manifest something with anxiety, you send an unconscious message to the subconscious that destroys everything. When you try to manifest something with desperation, you reinforce the idea that you don't have it. When you try to manifest something in a hurry, you confirm the absence. When you try to manifest something by repeating phrases mechanically, you feed a sense of need, and the subconscious, obedient and literal, responds by creating more of what you truly feel: lack, fear, scarcity, absence. It's a vicious circle, a maze with no exit, a psychological theater that looks like progress but is pure self-sabotage. Murphy called this the contaminated affirmation and said it's responsible for 99% of manifestation failures. Now, breathe deeply, because I'm going to expose the detail nobody wants to look at. You repeat phrases with hope, but that hope is mixed with doubt. And doubt in the subconscious is a command. You try to visualize the life of your dreams, but while you visualize, you feel it's far away. And distance in the subconscious is a command. You try to feel anticipatory gratitude, but deep down there's a pang of fear that nothing will happen. And fear in the subconscious is a command. And guess which command it will obey? The strongest one, the most emotional one, the most charged one. And almost always, that command is precisely what you try to hide. Now listen very carefully. This internal conflict creates a vibrational short circuit, a kind of energetic sabotage that Murphy said is the greatest enemy of manifestation. It's not the universe ignoring you. It's not fate punishing you. It's not God testing you. It's your subconscious following the wrong programming. And this programming was installed years ago, long before you were aware you could change it. It was installed by phrases you heard, by fears you lived, by experiences that left marks on your emotional system. And now, you are trying to build a mental palace on poisoned ground. But here is the point where your story begins to turn. Because Murphy not only identified this fatal error, he discovered the solution. And this is where things get serious. Because what I'm about to reveal to you now has been kept for decades as an almost ritualistic technique. A technique so simple it seems absurd, but so powerful it borders on the supernatural. A technique capable of reprogramming the subconscious much faster than any traditional affirmation. a technique that neutralizes the sabotage, eliminates doubt, erases the vibrational conflict, a technique Murphy called the replacement sentence. And when you know what it does, you will never say another phrase the same way again. But before I reveal the sentence, you need to understand why it works. Because this sentence, repeated the right way, not only changes your mind, it changes your physiology, your chemistry, your emotional frequency. It prevents the internal saboteur from interfering. It silences doubt. It neutralizes fear. It replaces the old pattern with a new one. And when that happens, the subconscious obeys. It always obeys. The problem was never the universe. It was always the command you were sending. And that's why this sentence, repeated just 3 times, can produce results so intense that many called them miracles. Not because it's magic, but because it's surgical, because it hits exactly the point of error, because it corrects the source of failure. And now that you are here, that the door has been opened, that you finally understood the invisible saboteur, you are ready for the revelation. But beware, when I reveal the sentence, you will need to repeat it the right way. If you do it wrong, nothing happens. If you do it right, you may feel the change immediately. And yes, I know it sounds dramatic, but the technique is dramatic. And I'm not here to give you fluffy phrases or disposable motivation. I'm here to give you the exact technique Joseph Murphy taught his closest students. The technique he used to unlock people who had been stuck for years. The technique many considered dangerous because it works too fast. The technique that touches the root of your subconscious programming. If you continue, you must be ready, because when you hear the phrase, it will not leave your mind. It will install itself. It will act. It will rewrite. And from here on, there is no turning back. Before you receive the sentence, I need to prepare you for something no one mentions, because no one wants to take responsibility for the psychological impact it causes. When Joseph Murphy talked about the replacement sentence, he made it clear. This technique does not work if you are still trapped in your old self. Yes, trapped in the you who complains, trapped in the you who doubts, trapped in the you who wakes up every day expecting something external to change your life. That you will have to die here, now. Before the next phrase, this is more than dramatization. It is a technical necessity, because the subconscious does not accept a new program while you insist on carrying your old emotional identity. You want abundance while still thinking like someone who fights for scraps. You want peace while living in defensive mode. You want success while seeing yourself as someone who tries. Trying is for the conscious mind. Creating is for the subconscious. And as long as you position yourself in the energy of I'm trying, you will never manifest anything solid. Murphy was even brutal about this. The subconscious responds only to conviction, never to attempt. And this may be the hardest part to face, because it means that everything you've done until now, all the effort you put in, every ritual you performed, were attempts. Weak, emotional, desperate attempts. But not conviction, not command, not decree. And that is why nothing changed. The universe is not testing you. Life is not punishing you. God is not ignoring you. You simply never sent the correct command. You wished, you dreamed, you begged, but you never decreed. And the subconscious obeys only decrees. And now comes the moment when I must give you a warning that will irritate you. But one Murphy repeated relentlessly. If you continue using affirmations as requests, you will continue living in lack. Because asking reinforces that you still do not have. Repetition reinforces that you are trying to convince something you yourself do not believe. Visualizing, when done the wrong way, reinforces that your desire is still far away. And you have done all of this. But the technique I'm about to give you is not based on endless repetition. It is not based on hope. It is not based on blind faith. It is based on immediate substitution, a clean cut, a direct command. Murphy said the subconscious is like a hypnotized actor. It does not think, it does not question, it simply executes the most dominant instruction. And if the dominant instruction inside you is fear, doubt, urgency, or lack, then that is exactly what it will materialize. It is what it has been materializing all along. So before the sentence, you need to understand the mechanics of the ritual. It is not the sentence that is powerful. It is the state in which you speak it. And this state must be liminal, the border between wakefulness and trance. This is where the almost clinical part of Murphy's technique comes in. He believed the mind, when it is about to fall asleep or about to wake up, enters a neurophysiological state of maximum malleability. Brainwaves slow down, psychological defenses dissolve, the inner critic goes silent. It's as if you open the vault door. This door stays open for only a few seconds, and it is in that exact instant, not before, not after, that you must insert the command. And not just any command, the command that replaces the sabotaging pattern, the command that installs the new identity, the command that creates what he called immediate emotional inversion. Now pay attention, because this part is crucial. The technique is done in 3 repetitions, exactly because the first destroys, the second replaces, and the third seals. The first repetition has the function of breaking the old programming. It's like a direct blow to the wrong mental structure. That's why, when you speak the phrase for the first time, you feel slight discomfort, a sense of displacement, sometimes even inner resistance. That is the saboteur trying to keep control. The second repetition is where the new programming enters. It's where the subconscious realizes there is a new order. It's where the command establishes itself as emotional priority. And the third repetition, that is the sacred part. The third repetition seals the new command, prevents the old pattern from returning, closes the mental door. It is the psychological equivalent of locking the vault from the inside. When Murphy said the technique must be repeated only 3 times, it was not because 3 is a magical number, but because 3 represents the complete substitution cycle: destruction, installation, and sealing. And here is the detail most people ignore. You cannot repeat more than 3 times, because repeating more turns the technique into a common affirmation: weak, mechanical, emotionally contaminated. 3 is the limit. 3 is the cut. 3 is the ritual. But before you think I'm exaggerating, let me explain what happens inside your brain during those 3 repetitions. The first repetition activates the reticular system, which is the part of your brain responsible for identifying patterns and threats. When you say the sentence for the first time, the brain recognizes it as an attempt at change and alerts the subconscious. The second repetition sends an emotional signal, because you are in the liminal state, and the subconscious begins to accept the command as a plausible truth. The third repetition creates what Murphy called the point of no return, a moment in which the subconscious, finding no dominant emotional resistance, absorbs the phrase as a finished fact. And finished facts are orders to the subconscious. After that, it begins to reorganize your behaviors, your perceptions, and even your physiology to align with this new fact. That is why some people report almost immediate results. It is not magic. It is neuroprogramming. It is psychophysiology. It is emotional logic. You finally giving the subconscious the kind of command it understands. And now I need you to understand the most disturbing part of all. You have already done this before, but in reverse. You have already repeated phrases in the same semi-trance state, phrases that consolidated fears, doubts, and traumas. How many times have you told yourself before sleeping, "I won't make it. My life doesn't change. I'm not lucky"? How many times have you woken up and before even getting out of bed, thought, "Today will be hard. Nothing works for me. I don't know what to do"? These phrases were repeated in the perfect state for subconscious programming, and you did this for years, decades, without noticing, and yet you're surprised that your life followed the pattern it did. You created all of it. Not consciously, but subconsciously. Murphy said, the subconscious is loyal to the dominant pattern, and the dominant pattern until today has been negative. But this technique, this sentence, will invert the pattern. It will exchange the negative for the positive. It will replace the defeated with the creator. It will replace the you who suffers with the you who commands. But you must be ready for this, because when I reveal the sentence, there will be no return to the old self. The sentence will become a mental tattoo. It will echo inside you. It will act even when you forget it. You are about to install a new subconscious identity, and this is serious. That's why I need to ask you now, before going further. Are you truly ready to destroy the old programming? Because in the next part, I will reveal the exact sentence. And after that, nothing in your life will work the same way again. Then take a deep breath, because this is the moment that separates those who try to manifest from those who actually create destiny. This is where Joseph Murphy said that the old self dies and the new self is born. And now I'm going to give you the sentence. The phrase that works not because it's pretty, but because it is engineered to break the pattern of doubt, replace the pattern of fear, and seal the pattern of certainty. The phrase is, my subconscious is creating this now. So simple it seems impossible, so short it seems insufficient, so direct it's intimidating. But that is exactly why it works, because it speaks the language of the subconscious. Present tense, action, certainty, no future promises, no wishes, no hope, only fact, only command. And now you're going to learn how to use this sentence exactly as Murphy taught. In the ritual, almost no one knows. First, you must bring your body into the liminal state. This means letting your body become heavy, still, as if sinking into the mattress. Breathing natural, slow, almost silent, eyes closed, muscles loose. And then you look for that sensation, that border where the mind seems to detach from the body, yet you're still conscious. That sensation where the external world disappears and you feel as if you are inside yourself. This is the portal. This is the exact moment the subconscious opens the door. If you say the phrase before this, it falls into the conscious mind and dies. If you say it after, the body is already asleep and nothing happens. It's like hitting a moving target. But when you hit it, the force is indescribable. Now comes the ritual. When you feel you've entered the liminal state, you will speak the sentence, not with your mouth, but with your mind. And the first repetition must be slow, firm, almost like a hammer hitting stone. My subconscious is creating this now. This first repetition destroys doubt. It destroys the old pattern. It destroys the saboteur. And you will feel something. Maybe a slight emotional jolt, maybe a shiver, maybe inner resistance trying to pull you back into the old pattern. Ignore it. Continue. Because now comes the second repetition. And this is the replacement repetition. It must be spoken with more certainty than the first, as if you were declaring something inevitable. My subconscious is creating this now. This second repetition enters deep into the emotional structure. This is where your mind begins to believe. This is where the body begins to respond. This is where the inner frequency changes. And then the third repetition, the repetition that seals, the repetition that closes the portal, the repetition that turns desire into destiny. My subconscious is creating this now. And when you say it for the third time, you simply let go. You do not repeat again. You do not force anything. You do not try to feel anything. You do not look for signs, because looking for signs is sabotage. Expecting results is lack. Forcing emotion is interference. You say the phrase 3 times, enter the silence, and let the subconscious work. Murphy said, the subconscious creates in silence. And that is why the silence after the third repetition is as important as the phrase itself. It is in that silence that the process is consolidated. It is in that silence that manifestation begins to take shape. And now you must understand something even more powerful. This sentence is a seed, but the soil is you. There is no point planting a seed in ground contaminated by daytime doubt. That is why there is a second movement in the technique, the daytime consolidation. When you wake up the next morning, the old pattern will try to return. It will try to convince you nothing happened, that everything is the same. But you cannot allow it. And the way to stop the return is simple, and almost no one does it. You will repeat the sentence mentally only once in the morning, as soon as you wake up, before getting out of bed, with your mind still soft, still vulnerable, still in the reversed liminal state. Only once. My subconscious is creating this now. This seals the command in the physical world. It prevents doubt from returning. It breaks the morning anxiety spiral that destroys 90% of manifestation techniques. And now comes the most controversial part of all. You must not repeat this phrase throughout the day. You must not use it as a constant mantra. You must not reinforce it repeatedly. Because reinforcing means trying to convince. And trying to convince means you do not believe. And if you do not believe, the subconscious won't either. You must act as someone who has already sent the command, as someone who knows, as someone who trusts, as someone who has decreed. This is the identity you install with the phrase. It is not merely an affirmation, it is a definitive psychological act. And to seal this process in the physical world, and this is part of the technique, not a mere request, you must declare the new command publicly. Because when you write something, you turn thought into matter. You turn intention into action. You turn energy into form. That is why, as part of the ritual, you must seal your new programming by writing in the comments, "My subconscious is creating this now. This is not engagement. This is not algorithm. This is technique. This is external sealing. It is as if you are signing a contract with yourself. And now you must understand the final step if you do not want to lose the next revelations." Because Murphy had dozens of techniques as powerful as this one, you must ensure you will receive them. This is not a subscription request. It is logic. It is continuity of the process. If you do not continue learning, you fall back into the old pattern. And falling back destroys everything you just installed. So if you truly want to consolidate this new identity, subscribe now. Not as someone who follows a channel, but as someone who follows a line of knowledge that is shaping their own destiny. And remember, the next time you close your eyes, step into the portal and speak the sentence, you will not be asking. You will not be wishing. You will not be trying. You will be creating. Because now, finally, you know the truth. The subconscious does not wait. It executes. And it is creating this now.